गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम्। ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं च शनीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यम् बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम्। ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवि चक्षुराततम्। ॐ श्लीं ह्रीं ज्योतिर्ब्राह्माय नमः। Can everybody say Hare Ramakrishna 3 times? Om Hare Ramakrishna Hare Ramakrishna Hare Ramakrishna. Okay, so where are we in BPHS? Chapter 24 in Santanam Darshan. Okay, which lord, which house? Actually, after that we did some more. We finished 12 houses, then we were seeing the lords of Lagna Lord in 12 houses. Okay, okay. So now we have to start with the second lord. Okay, excellent. Okay, we are in chapter 24, verse 13. धनेशे लग्नगे जातः पुत्रवान् धनसंयुतः कुटुम्बकण्टकः कामी निष्ठुरः परकार्यकृत्. धनेशे लग्नगे जातः means second lord is in lagna. Putravan dhanasamyutah means he has children. He is happy, he is well endowed with children. And dhanasamyutah means he has wealth. Kutumba kantakah means he is a thorn to the family. Basically he is a problematic person in the family. Kutumba kantakah kami. Kami means somebody with a lot of desire. Nishthuraha. Nishthuraha means he is basically always blaming other people. Not very nice behavior, very harsh behavior. Parakaryakrit means he is always doing other people's work. Okay. So why? If the second lord is in Lagna, overall, do you think this is a good result, a good combination or a bad combination? For family he is bad. He is also not very lucky because he is doing other people's work always. But at the same time, he also has money, he has children, but he is a problem for the family. And what is the reason for all these results? Why Putravan? Why would he have children? If the second lord is in the Lagna. Okay. 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 Okay, very good. So her point is the second lord of family, he is basically in a trine from the 5th house. It is basically he is the lord of the house of family. And children are an important part of family, and he is in the 9th house from the house of children, protecting it. So he gives fortune with respect to children. So he has a lot of children or good children, whatever. Putravan literally means having children. But here obviously just having children is not the intended meaning. It means in some way lucky with respect to children. And that is what you would expect from the 9th house, from the 5th house. And why Dhana? Dhana Samyutaha? Why does he have money? Yeah, second lord shows. Yeah, second lord shows. What does he show? Yeah. Resources, use of resources, money, etc. And he is in the Lagna. So he is always. Wealth is coming to Lagna. Second house is second lord. He controls the money. So he represents the money. And then, but he is in Lagna. So he is told to do something for Lagna, for the body of the person. The job of the second lord is the resources that the lord of any house has are what are shown by that house. And the house occupied by the planet is what he is told to do. So he will bring something to the table. If the seventh lord is, let's say, in the fifth house, he will bring the seventh house resources to fifth house. If the nth lord is in the nth house, he will bring the resources of the nth house, the things shown by the nth house, to nth house. So second lord in Lagna means he basically brings the resources represented by the second house, all the material resources, money, etc. They are brought to the Lagna. Lagna is the overall well-being of the person, the overall being. So basically that means he has good wealth. Not only that, he is actually using the wealth to look beautiful or look handsome or enrich himself or keep himself in good health, etc. Okay? So it's basically not just, here he says Dhanasamyutaha, but here it's not just having money, but actually using it for himself. Now, why Kutumba Kantakaha? Why is he a problem to the family? Well, again, he is bringing the resources of the second house to Lagna. So he is basically making the family focus on him. He is not focusing his intellect on the family and making it happier. He is actually using the family for himself. So family is focusing on him and worried about him, thinking about him. Because the second lord is the intelligence of the second house, not the first house. And that is focused on first house, which is the self. So, I mean, it's not necessary that he is a Kutumba Kantaka. Second lord in Lagna, not everybody is a Kutumba Kantaka, not everybody is a thorn to the family. But family has to pay a lot of attention to this person. Family has to, he demands the attention of the family. So there is a good chance that he is causing trouble in the family and they are always focused about him. But that's not the only possibility. But that is a possibility. Just to, like I keep saying, just to open your mind to various possibilities, Parashara is giving, basically you can give infinite, not infinite, but tens of results. He just gives one here, one here. He covers the full sample space. He samples the whole space and randomly gives a few results, some good, some bad, some crazy, so that you get an idea. So bottom line is, he demands the attention of the family in some way or the other. Kami means desire, having desire. Why? Why does it give desire? Why does it give desire? Because, I mean, desire you see from the seventh house, but here we are probably talking about the desire for physical sex. And what house shows the pleasures in bed? 12th house. 12th house is the house of pleasures in bed. And what is second house? From the 12th house it is the third house of initiative, drive, etc. So second house is actually an important house for the drive in bed, basically, for the drive for pleasures, bed pleasures. That is why there is one specific combination in the Navamsha. If Venus and Mars are in the second house, it makes the person very lustful. The combination of Venus and Mars in the second house, especially in Navamsha, it makes the person very lustful. So second house is an important house from that point of view, being the third from 12th. And so the lord of that house is always important for deciding how lustful the person is. And him being placed in the Lagna. Lagna is basically the physical body. And moreover, he has an Argala on the 12th house. So the Lord of the Parakrama is having Argala on that house. So he basically works on that house. He increases he provides resource. The drive for sex becomes a resource for sex. So it is basically conducive. Nishthuraha. Why did they show Nishthuraha? Nishthura means somebody who is very harsh. He can speak harsh to people, not very diplomatic or anything. Why?
The second house is also just...
Yeah, second house not just family, it is also the house of speech. So the Lord of the house is in the 12th family.
Right.
So it's basically there is something undesirable about speech. It could be harsh speech, it could be something else. But there is also something undesirable. Actually, not only is the second Lord in the 12th house from second house, but the Arudha of the second house is actually in the 12th house. So apart from the results Parashara gave, it is also possible that the person will lose lot of wealth, because E2 is accumulation of wealth. If it is in the 12th house, E2 is basically one's bank balance. 12th house is the house of loss. So suddenly one day he may lose lot of money. Such people have to be careful. The money he put in the bank may go bankrupt and he may lose some money. Like that, those things are possible. But again, it's just a possibility. You have to judge all the factors. It could also mean having a lot of resources, having a big bank balance in, for example, somewhere in Switzerland. Because 12th house is also the house of foreign lands. So if E2 is in the 12th house, it could be a politician who is actually amassing huge millions or billions of dollars in a Swiss bank. An Indian politician who is amassing elsewhere, or in Saint Kitts or something like that. So those are also possibilities.
Always doing other stuff.
Always doing others' work. Why? Always doing others' work. Why? Why always doing others' work? You don't know A7, A1, AL, anything here. You only know Lagna, second Lord in Lagna, A2 in 12th house. These are the only things you know. You know nothing else. So based on those, why does it show doing other people's work? Well, pardon me? Right? Serving others is from the 6th house, right? Okay. Where is the A2? A2 is basically the resource of the person, right? It is in the 12th house. So, is he able to use his resources well for him, for his work? Not really, because it's in the 12th house. The Arudha is not in a Kendra or Kona or anything from it. But look at the 6th house, for example. 6th house is basically the process of overcoming obstacles, serving others, etc. If you look at service, the house of service, house of working hard, house of overcoming obstacles, 6th house. From there, how is A2 now? It is in the 7th house. So it is basically in a quadrant. So if the Arudha is in the 7th house from any house, it can actually be useful to that house better. So he may actually be able to use his resources in his service or when working for somebody else than for his own Lagna or even 10th house. If you look at his 10th house or 7th house compared to those, A2 is actually more conducive to the sixth house. It is a Kendra from the sixth house. Okay. Now the next verse. धनेशे धनगे जातो धनवान गर्व संयुतः विभार्यो बहुभार्यो वा सुतहीनः प्रजायते. धनेशे धनगे जातो. One born when the second lord is in the second house itself. Dhanavan garva samyutaha. He is wealthy and garva samyutaha. He is proud. He has some pride, some arrogance. Dvibharyo bahubharyo va. He has two wives or lot of wives. Basically more than one wife. Two or more wives. Sutahinaha prajayate. Sutahinaha. No children. He doesn't have children. He has problem begetting children. Okay? Okay. Now we have to figure out why. Why is this the case? Dhaneshe dhanage jato dhanavan garasam. Why is he wealthy? That is the most straightforward out of all the results. Second lord in second is so strong. Taking the second house as Lagna, especially Lagna lord in Lagna. Lagna is fortified. So he is wealthy. Now garva samyutaha. Why does it give arrogance?
Because of the money.
Well, okay. One common sense thing is one who has money has a good chance of being proud. You probably know a lot of wealthy people, so I'll take your word for it. So that is one. Okay. Are there any other factors? 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 He's influencing what? Yes, Argalas. See where Argalas are. Argalas, okay? Okay, second house has Argala, then. But Lagna has Argala from the second lord, so what does it mean? Does it mean?
He's proud of himself. Proud of being himself.
Right. Really, it really depends on the planet. But this can actually give garva. Why? Where is the arudha of the second lord? 11th house, right? Because second lord is in the second house, E2 is in the 11th house, right? Now, if you look at it, if you look at the E2 is basically the wealth of the person. If you look at it, if you take the third house is the house that shows the third is the house of the initiative, the bravery, also pride, etc. comes from that house more than the second house. So taking the third house as Lagna, the second lord, even though he is in the 12th house, he is actually 12th lord in the 12th house. So from the third house he is giving a good yoga. But more importantly, the arudha of the second lord is in a trine. It's in the 9th house. So the wealth, like he said, if you have a lot of wealth, you have a good chance of being proud. But the thing is, it is also because not only does he have good wealth, but A2, the wealth that he actually has, the tangible wealth, is in the 9th house from 3rd house. So it is actually promoting the 3rd house. So the person is very confident. Some people may have a lot of money but still not very confident. In this particular case, he has money and also he is very confident about it. He is bold, he is confident. Basically, 3rd house is boosted by the arudha which is in the 9th house from it. So the money of the person helps to promote the confidence of the person, protect the confidence of the person. Basically, any arudhas that are in a trine from a house, they basically promote that house. those tangible assets, those tangible articles, they promote that particular house. Not really. Well, basically third house is the house of confidence more than ego. I know, the word used is garva, which is pride. Sarva is really different, but the thing is, the way I see it, I see basically confidence of the person increasing, and increased confidence can sometimes be, it can come across as pride. And where do you see the, how do you see the humility of the person? Where do you see the humility? How do you see the humility? 12th house. 12th house is the house of humility. And now, this planet, does it have Argala on the 12th house? No. The planet is in the 3rd house from 12th house. Right? And does it have the Arudha of the planet, the tangible article of wealth, is actually in the 12th house from 12th house. So it basically is showing loss of humility. So that way also, it is in a trine from the 3rd house, it is 12th from 12th. So for these reasons, the person may not be very humble. He is very confident and a little bit proud. But again, not in any undesirable way. He may not be arrogant or foolhardy. He may not be too egoistic also. All those you have to see where is sun, how is Lagna, because Lagna is very important to see all those things, the basic nature of the person. Vibharyo Bahubharyo va, is that obvious or what? Second house is the house of second marriage. 7th house shows the first marriage, and 2nd house shows second marriage. So it is strong, very strong, unbelievably strong. So there is a good chance that there is a marriage, there is a second marriage, and probably even more. Basically, 7th house is broken by this planet. He is Maraka for the 7th house. So relationships are not long-lived for this person in general. 7th house is not only the first marriage, it is in general relationships. So they may not last long because such a strong Maraka exists for the relationships. Okay? Now, last one. Sutahinaha prajayate. Sutahinaha is somebody who does not have children. Why? Why? It's so unfair. Second Lord in the 2nd house, no children. Why? Why does 2nd Lord in 2nd house show not having too many children? For me? Well, does it really mean that he will not have children? Definitely you can't say just based on 2nd Lord, you have to say 5th Lord, etc. So what he is intending to say is, well, it could show. Under what circumstances it could show? Suppose there is an Argala on the 5th house and this planet is actually opposing, he is obstructing the Argala. The 2nd house has Viparit Argala and not Viparit, Virodh Argala. Sorry for that mess up. Virodh Argala on the 5th house. So it is basically cancelling negative intervention, cancelling positive interventions basically. So even if there is a planet having from in the 8th house showing Argala on the 5th house, this planet is actually obstructing that Argala. That is exactly the case. That is exactly the case. So you can't really say based on this. 2nd house is also the house of family. But the thing is, assuming that this planet is not a good friend of 5th house, 5th Lord and Jupiter, the 2nd Lord in 2nd is not a good friend of Jupiter, not a good friend of 5th Lord. Pardon me? Suppose you have Dhanul Lagna. The 5th Lord is Mars, 5th Karaka is Jupiter, and Saturn is not a friend of either of them. Suppose he is strong in Capricorn. Now, he basically has Virodh Argala on the 5th house. Another thing you have to note is, this particular planet in the 2nd house, he will have an aspect on the 5th house also. He will have a 4th aspect. It will be 3/4 aspect. 4th and 8th aspects are 3/4 aspects. 5th and 9th aspects of all planets are half aspects. 3rd and 10th aspects of all planets are quarter aspects. So quarter is too small. Half is here, neither here, not there. But 3/4 is almost full. If you round it, it is full. So 3/4 aspect can never be overlooked. So having a 3/4 aspect on the fifth house, he basically has a desire to influence, children, and he is having Virodharkara. So there is a chance that he will actually deny children. But I will say take it with a pinch of salt. Now, it's not a foolproof formula. Only thing is aspects. Grahadrushti by fourth aspect, you should take it into account. Virodharkara, you should take it into account. That's the message basically. There is just a message in it. You can't go ahead and make a reading based on this. Okay. Next verse. Dhane se sahaje jato vikrami matiman guni. Dhane se sahaje jato vikrami matiman guni. Kami lobhi shubhadhe cha papadhe devanindakah. Dhane se sahaje jato. One born, then the second lord is in the third house. Vikrami, he is courageous. Vikrami means one who is very bold. Matiman, Guni. Matiman means intelligent. Guni means virtuous, has good qualities. Kami, Lobhi. Kami means desireful. Lobhi means miserly. He doesn't spend a lot of money. Shubhadhe. All these, if the planet involved is actually a benefic planet. He has benefic influences. Papadhe Devanindakaha. In the case of negative influences, he is actually a heterodox person who actually insults gods and insults religion, etc. Is a religious person. If the planet is a negative planet. Now, if it's a positive planet, the results are Vikrami. He is bold. Why is he bold? Well, third house of boldness. The planet is in the third house of boldness. So, right. His job is to actually give a lot of boldness. But still, even he is told to give boldness. The person whose job is to reduce the boldness, he himself is told to give boldness. Who will actually take away boldness? So there is a good chance that the person will be quite bold. That's the simple logic. But again, that's what it is. Take it for what it is. Depends on the planet, the relationship. I mean, you may tell somebody who wants to destroy this house, you may put him in the house and say, take good care of it. But whether he will or not depends on his relation with the house lord, Karaka, etc. But the thing is, if all those things are conducive, if the one who is supposed to destroy this, give a loss of this, himself is taking care of it, there is no problem. The other result is, Dhaneshe Sahaje Jato Vikrami Matiman Guni. Vikrami, Matiman, Guni. Vikrami means brave. Oh, sorry. Vikrami we finished. Now Matiman. Why is he wise? Why is he intelligent? Yeah, he has Argala on the fifth house. He has a conclusive 11th house, Labhargala, on the fifth house of intelligence. So he can give intelligence. And also, second house is the house of speech. So he is the lord of the culture of the person and the speech of the person, etc. And he is told to give, he has an intervention on the intelligence of the person. So he will actually use the speech to, he is in the third house of communication. So he will use the speech, communicate well, and come across as an intelligent person. Kuni, virtuous. Why is he virtuous? Why is he virtuous? Aspect on the 9th and 10th house. 10th house is the house of honor, 9th house is the house of religiousness, all the good qualities, virtues of a person. So, being in the third house, aspecting the 9th house with full aspect and aspecting the 10th house with half, 3/4 aspect, he gives honor to the person, some principles, some piousness, piety, etc. he is basically a virtuous person. Kami, desireful. Why? Third house is the house of desire. Simple. Lobhi. Lobhi means miserly. He doesn't spend a lot. Why? Why?
Spending is 12th house.
Huh? But he has Argana on the 12th house. So the thing is, he is a planet who stands for accumulating. He is the second lord. His main job is, his interest is to accumulate. If he has an Argala on the 12th house, he decides the direction of the spending. 4th house is the direction of the spending. Sorry, not 4th house. 3rd house is the 4th from 12th. So it is the direction of your spending. It is what decides your spending. So his agenda is to actually make you accumulate money. If he is told to spend money, he will say, well, no. But again, it depends on the relationship. But there is a chance that all things, other things being conducive, there is a chance that he will say, okay, you want to spend? No, actually, you know what? The direction of our spending will be no spending, so that we accumulate more money, because that's what happens. All this is if the planet is a good planet. If it's a bad planet, if it's an undesirable planet, there is another result given. I mean, he didn't say these results are inapplicable, but he specifically gave another result. That result is Deva Nindakaha. He is religious. He insults gods. Why? Yeah. A malefic planet affecting the 9th house. And also, what house does he own from the 9th house? From the 9th house, 2nd house is 6th house. Taking the 9th house as Lagna, what is the 2nd house? It is the 6th house. 6th house is the house of enemy. So, 2nd lord shows some enmity to religion. So, if he is also a malefic planet, he may actually be inimical to religion, and also because of the aspect, there is a desire to, the planet has a desire to influence the dharma of the person. So, he may be adharmic. He may be against dharma, against religion. So, he is irreligious, anti-religious. More than irreligious, Devanindaka is anti-religious. He fights against religion. Fighting basically from the 6th house. Okay. The next verse. Dhane se sukha bhavasthe Dhane se sukha bhavasthe Sampat samanvita, I think. Sarva sampat samanvita, yeah, Chandasi is satisfied. Dhane se sukha bhavasthe Sarva sampat samanvita. The halanta is missing. It is printed as Sarva sampata samanvita. It's not Sarva sampata samanvita, but Sarva sampat samanvita. Dhane se sukha bhavasthe Sarva sampat samanvita. Guruna samyute svoche rajatulyo naro bhavet. Dhane se sukha bhavasthe. If the 2nd lord is in the 4th house, Sarva sampat samanvitaha. He is accompanied by all kinds of wealth. So he is basically very wealthy. Now we are at the next level. Guruna samyute svoche. Guruna samyute. If the planet is conjoined with Jupiter, svoche, and exalted. Rajatulyo naro bhave. He will be equivalent to a king, not king. He will be equivalent to a king. So, this is a very auspicious combination. Why? What is so great about this? It's a camera. Sorry? Forget exaltation. First thing is, 2nd lord in the 4th house is supposed to give a lot of wealth. Why? Well, the thing is, the 2nd house shows the accumulated wealth of the person. 4th house is the sukha of the person. So, the planet who is supposed to make you accumulate the money and have a lot of resources is showing your comfort. So, basically, you are spending money. You are basically, accumulated money is being used for comfort. When will you use your bank balance for comfort? If you can afford enough. If you have this much money, you won't use this much money on your comfort. You only use this much money. A small percentage of it will be used. The rest will be saved. Now, if you are spending money on fourth house matters, buying a good TV or buying good bed, buying all good clothes, good jewelry, etc., there is a good chance that you are really wealthy. That is one thing. That is one factor. Yes. Right. E2 will fall in the sixth house. E2 will fall in the sixth house. What does it mean? But the thing is, E2 will fall in the sixth house. Yeah. For his own health, basically. His own health may suffer. But the thing is, if you take the second house as Lagna, the second house of wealth, the Arudha is actually a triumphant. Until then we have seen where Arudha is from the second house. The Arudha is in the 11th house, the Arudha is in the various houses we have seen, 10th house, like that. But for the first time now we see Arudha in a trine. So if the second lord is in 4th house, the Arudha of the second house is in a trine from second house. So it is actually quite good for the second house. It is basically like Lagna lord basically. Arudha Lagna being in a trine from Lagna. It is like that. So for the second house it is very good. So he has lot of wealth. Of course if he is with Jupiter, who is the Karaka for money, and if he is exalted, it is actually quite auspicious. Okay. The next verse is Dhane se sutta bhavasthe jato dhanasamanvitaha Dhanopajjana Shilascha Jayante Tatsuta Api. Ganese Sutabhavasthe. The second lord is in the 5th house. Jato Dhana Samanvitaha. A person born like that is wealthy. He is accompanied by money. Dhanopajjana Shilascha. Having a character to Dhanopajjana Shilas, having a character to earn a lot of money, or Jayante Tatsuta. His children are also money minded. His children are also, they focus on earning a lot of money. So this person earns a lot of money and his children basically are interested in money, earning more money. Okay, why? Second lord in the 5th house. Second lord in the 5th house. Second lord in the 5th house. Is it first of all good for money? Well, second lord is in a, where is the Arudha? Arudha of E2. Is what? No? It is in the 5th house itself. Right? Second lord is in the 5th, that means 4th from 2nd. So if you take 4th there from, it will be the 7th from 2nd, 8th house. Not acceptable. So take 10 there from. So it is basically in the 5th house itself. So second lord and second Arudha, both E2 and second lord, are both in 5th house. So they are in a trine from Lagna, they are in a quadrant from second house. Very well placed. So he is wealthy. Right? So far everybody has been wealthy. It's funny. Right. Right. He is basically showing everybody can be wealthy. He is other factors have to be seen. But how he is utilizing is different. But this person will actually use it for his children 5th house. Also Lagna is in a trine from Lagna. So actually he uses it for his own well-being also, and so on. Now, so Dhanasamanvitaha is fine. Dhanopajjana Shilascha Jayante Tatsuta Api. His children are also after money. Why? Why do you say the children are after money? Children are interested in money and their money, they earn money. Well, one reason is his A2 is in the 5th house. So his wealth has to do with children. There is a link between his children and the wealth. So of course he may get wealth when children are born or something like that. But basically he will have, if he is a rich man, his wealth will also be being managed by his children when they grow up, of course. So it could show children who are managing the wealth. Right? For me? Money minded is actually one way to interpret it, but basically he is saying he not only earns money, some people earn money, but children, they basically, children do not make the money grow. But here, as far as A2 is concerned, his house is in A2. His house and A2 are together. So children do not actually waste the money or spend the money. They are also contributing to A2. So there is a synergy, there are ways basically. So this is a case where the person works hard, he basically earns a lot of money, and the children, they are not basically people who are just spending money, but they are actually get into the family business. They also actually go to the shops from a young age and they take care of father's business and help the money grow. That kind of children are possible with this combination. Now if you take the 5th house as Lagna, the 10th Lord and the 10th Arudha are in Lagna. So the work that the people, those children do, that is 10th house, right? 10th house is the work. So the Lord is in Lagna. So basically, Lagna is the body, the physical comfort, the physical well-being, etc. So, and his job is to make them work. So the planet of work is in Lagna. So basically they are workaholics. They work a lot. The children are not basically idle people. They work. Also father's money is making them to work. So basically they are work people who work hard. They take father's business and then grow it or work along with father.
So Dhirubhai Ambani's chart, we should see that.
Yes, something like that is possible in Dhirubhai Ambani's chart, right? In his Rashi or Hora. Now, again, it doesn't mean children are after money and they are money minded. They are actually mean people. It doesn't mean something like that along those lines. It only means they are beneficial to father's business and money and bank balance. The last one.
Character to earn money, that is because he is nice from money.
For me?
His character to, he will use his character to earn money.
Well, character is basically a word that I simply use, but it means their attitude, not character. Sila is basically attitude. They have an attitude towards growing the wealth. In other words, they don't have a lazy attitude of just taking it easy and enjoying father's wealth. That's just the bottom line. You should understand the bottom line. The next verse. Dhaneshe ripu bhavasthe sasubhe shatruto dhanam sapate shatruto hanir jangha hanir jangha vaikalyavan bhavet. Okay. Okay, Dhaneshe Ripubhavasthe. If the second Lord is in Ripubhava, what is Ripubhava? Ripu is another Sanskrit word for enemy. So Dhaneshe Ripubhavasthe. The second Lord is in the 6th house. Sasubhe, along with benefits. Shatruto dhanam. He will get money from enemies. Sapate, if he is with malefice, Shatruto hanihi. He has danger from enemies. He has trouble from enemies. Jangha vaikalyavan bhavet. Jangha vaikalyavan bhavet means he gets handicap. Jangha literally means the knee area basically. This area. Now, somewhere in the legs basically. There is a handicap in the legs. Why? That's too specific. Moreover, let's go one by one. Second Lord in the 6th house is with benefits. So, from enemy he gets money. Yeah, he's the second Lord. His agenda is to give money, make him accumulate money. he is placed in the 6th house. So he said, he is told, give enmity. He said, okay, fine, I'll give enmity so that I can fight. So he was told, give enmity and fight. So the planet says, okay, I'll give enmity and fight, but it should result in getting some of their money and accumulating it. Because that is his basic agenda. He wants to accumulate money, second lord. So if the second lord is fortified in the 6th house, he can actually make you fight enemies and actually take their money away. Don't tell me whose chart you should see it in, but there will be 7 people. The next verse.
Is the malefic?
Sapape, sapape shatrudo hanihi. Whereas it is malefic, it shows troublesome enemies. Because second lord is also the lord of, he is a maraka.
Right.
If he is in the 6th house, he can give fights, quarrels with enemies, and as a result of it, death also. Right? So that's the problem. Shatrudo hanihi, a danger from the enemy. Shatrudo hanihi. If he is with malefics, he can give a danger. Second lord with malefics becomes a strong mark. If he is in the 6th house, he can give danger from enemies. Could be something like marka also, death-like situation faced on account of rivalry or enmity. Jangha vaikalyavan bhavet. Why jangha vaikalya? What? What?
There's a lot of fighting.
Why jangha? Why not somewhere else? Well, usually they say haath pair tod diya. So you basically break the legs or break the hands. Like, so basically break the legs. Or is there any other specific reason?
No.
I mean, Parasara can't just, I mean, you can't say just this is sufficient to give Jangha Vaikalya, but the reason he gave, there must be some reason. 10th house is what? What about 10th house? Good, good. Keep going. Huh? Yes, 10th house is legs, but what about 10th house? Yes, the planet is aspecting the 10th house by half aspect, and the Arudha more importantly. The Arudha of the second house is falling in 10th house. So this planet is showing enmities, and the tangible event basically is in the 10th house. So if there is the E2 basically, the Arudha of this Marka house is in the 10th house. So the one lesson from this is the house where E2 is. The house where the Arudha of this Marka house, second house is, if the Lord is not well placed, it could show a problem, a breakage, some Marka kind of thing to that house. That is what it means, right? So it is basically in this part, in the lower legs. The thighs are from 9th house, 10th house is the lower legs. So somewhere in that area. Okay. With that we will end for today. We are doing half a house every day basically. So tomorrow, remember, not tomorrow but next week, everybody remember that we will be doing the results of second lord in the 7th to 12th houses. So that is what we will do in the next class. So we will go to the second half. Let me restart. Okay. Sorry, you guys missed a little discussion because I stopped the recording and didn't restart. The chart we are discussing is 1975 July 2, 5 AM, Indian Standard Time, 5:30 east of GMT, Hyderabad, India, 78 degrees 28 minutes east, 17 degrees 23 minutes north, 1975 July 2 again. So the Lagna is Gemini, 4 degrees 48 minutes Gemini, and moon is 19 degrees 8 minutes Pisces. Okay. And the Lagna, the question was, how is this year for career? And the question I asked the student who gave the chart is, are you sure of the chart? She seemed comfortable, but I am not so comfortable with the Dashamsa Lagna. It is Cancer. The 10th Lord is Mars. Even though he is in Mercury's house, having Agala of Mercury, explaining the software career, the person is a software engineer, database administrator. It's not fully explaining the career. Whereas if we take Leo Lagna, Even though moon is exalted in the 10th house and 10th lord is Venus, the second house is very powerful. Second lord Mercury is exalted in the second house. So career is shown by the second house and it shows computers. Mercury is aspected by Saturn, showing some routine programming, and Mars. So this can show database administration. So probably the Lagna is Leo, and we want to confirm it. It could be Cancer also, but I suspect it's Leo. Now, do you know anything about the career?
The first job is
Yeah.
started his first job in March 2002.
First job in March 2002. Okay, that's useful. That's very useful.
3 months back she came to join the new job.
Change job 3 months back. Okay, these are useful. Now, change job 3 months back and 2002 March career started. How is 2002 March? We are using Chaturthi Samadasa because 10th lord is in the 10th house. Even though Lagna has Sun, he is not that strong. So we will give precedence to Chaturthi Samadasa, the 84-year Dasha. So 2002 March was Sun Mars Antardasha. Sun Dasha, Mars Antardasha started the career. Sun is, if you take Virgo, Sun, if you take Leo, Sun is Virgo Lagna Lord. But if you take Cancer itself, Sun is in the 5th house. Second Lord, he is in the, of earning in the 5th house of recognition. And Mars is the 10th and 5th Lord. He can actually show job. So, this is actually explaining quite well. On the other hand, if we take the Leo Lagna, Sun is Lagna Lord, but why Mars started the career? No, not a really great explanation. Okay? So, maybe this is right. We will see. Now, let us see the Navamsa. Do you know when she got married?
December 6, 2001.
2001, December 6. Soon after the terrorist attack, she got married. So 2001, December 6, she got married. What dasha was it? Again, Sun Mars itself. And Sun Mars, if this Navamsa is accurate, the Lagna is not the next one, can Sun Mars give wedding?
Sun is with Lagna
Sun is with Lagna Lord
Lord.
Ketu, he is the 10th Lord, yeah.
Mars is the Lagna Lord.
Mars is Lagna Lord in the 8th house. Does it explain very well for me?
Second from
Rashi third, Sun is the jewel Lord, but Mars, he is just 6th and 11th Lord. Now, on the other hand, suppose the Lagna is next one. Navamsa Lagna is advanced to Sagittarius. Then Sun would be the 9th Lord of Dharma. Right? Right. And Mars would be in the 7th house with the UL Lord. The AL right now will become UL. So UL will be in Capricorn, his Lord would be Saturn, and he would be joining Mars. And Mars is also the 12th Lord and 5th Lord and Venus dispositor. So Mars in the 7th house, the 5th Lord, a benefic, a functional benefic in the 7th house, has a good chance of giving marriage. Right? Now, how do you reconcile Dashamsa? Well, even in Dashamsa, Sun is the Lagna Lord showing the, if you take Leo Lagna, in Dashamsa, Sun is the Lagna Lord showing the beginning of career, and Mars is basically simply Yokarka. So, being the Yokarka, he can actually give the beginning of the career. So, that is possible. So far, looking at Navamsa is suggesting increasing of the time more than the Rashi. And by the way, Lagna is at 4 degree 47 minutes. So for Dashamsa Lagna to go to Leo, it is enough to go to 6 degrees. But Navamsa Lagna to go to the next time, you have to go past 6 degree 40 minutes. So actually, instead of the window that we have seen in Dashamsa is only 5 minutes 30 seconds or something like that. 5 minutes 14 seconds. But in Navamsa, I bet it will be even more. Let us go to Navamsa and find the window. It is like 8 minutes. Now, if we add 8 minutes to the time, it is explaining the marriage better. But then, even with the existing time, we can explain. Mars is Lagna Lord, Ketu, Sun is with the Lagna Lord. So we have some explanation, but we are not fully happy. Now let us see how the annual chart plays out. So 2001 annual chart, because that is when she joined the job, as well as got married. Is that right?
2002 joined the job.
I know, but it's 2001 annual chart.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
So both the events happened. Marriage and job both happened in 2001 annual chart. Okay. Let's take the existing time as is, 5 o'clock time. Now Navamsa is, Lagna is Libra. Had it been, 11 minutes 58 seconds later it will change. So this Navamsa won't make a difference, but Dashamsa could. But anyway, let us just do the sanity checking. Who is the Hora Lord? Shani. Shani is the Hora Lord. And which Dasha gave the marriage? December, you said when? 6th. So it was basically Moon Dasha. Based on the annual chart, Moon Dasha gave the wedding. Can Moon actually give marriage? Well, he is the dispositor of Ketu. He is in the 7th house. Moon is in the 7th house. And is there a chance of marriage at all? The Lagna Lord Venus is in own house in the 12th house with the Yogarka Saturn, and Saturn is also Hora Lord, right? And in the Rashi chart, 7th Lord Saturn is in Venus sign with Venus in the 11th house, a Kamatrikona. So basically there are good indications of marriage, and Moon is as good a candidate as anybody because he is in the 7th house in Navamsa. So this is accurate, but then that's not a surprise because we have 11-12 minutes of leeway. So the natal chart, Scorpio Lagna as well as Sagittarius Lagna in Navamsa, both are represented by this TP. But let's go to D10. Pardon me? We'll see Narayan Dasha with the natal chart. We'll see. 1 second. Now with the D10, 6 minutes 4 seconds. So now if the 8 minutes adding was required in the Navamsa, natal Navamsa, that will change the Dashamsa here. So Dashamsa Lagna in the annual ATP chart, annual Scripture chart, is either Gemini or, if our rectification is right, Cancer. Which one makes more sense? 2002 February or March, I think March. 2002 March he got job. That would be Saturn Dasha, the ruler of the year. The ruler of the year gave the job. Now, if Cancer is the Lagna, Saturn would be the 7th and 8th Lord in the 12th house with Venus, with the 4th and 11th Lord. Does it show getting a job? Not really. Whereas with this Lagna, he is the 9th Lord in 9th Lord with the 5th Lord in Lagna. Excellent Raj Yoga. That's fine. He is in Mankaraka Sthan. But the thing is, he is in Lagna. Lagna shows new beginning in K. So, and from Arul Lagna, he is basically in the 9th house with the Arul Lagna Lord. It's very auspicious. So, again, the rectification we did in Navamsa is not right. The rectification we have done in Rashi, Dashamsa also not right. So even though we are not fully comfortable, still we could explain. So those basically are whatever explanations we found. That's it basically. That is the chart is basically that. Now maybe Chaturshiti is not working so well. Let us see Shashtihayani. Is that working better? When did she get married? As soon as Mars came, she got married. So Mars. Well, it was a... Oh, sorry. We have to go back to natal. So Shashtihayani Dasha, 2001. So Mars Dasha, Mars Saturn gave marriage. Yeah, Mars Saturn. Does it explain any better? Not really. Sun Mars, Mars Saturn, they are basically the same for us. And career starting. Well, Sun was the fifth planet in the 5th house, Mars was the 5th lord, so Sun Mars based on Chaturshiti was actually better than Mars Saturn. Mars is the 10th lord, so he can give career, but why Saturn? So, I mean, we are not getting any clarity from Shashtayani. Chaturasthi is as good. Chaturasthi is better. What if just Vimshotri would do? If you look at Vimshotri, what Dasha gave marriage? Venus Moon. Does Venus Moon explain better? Well, Moon is the UL Lord, the 9th Lord in the 2nd house. Venus is the 7th Lord, but in the 6th house. Compared to that, Sun Mars is basically both the planets associated with the Lagna in the Navamsha. So let us stick to Chaturasthi Samadasya. Let us stick to Chaturasthi Samadasya. And see, the thing is, at the end of all this exercise, we didn't actually change anything. Of course, it could be 5-1, 5-2, but the thing is, it's not 5-6 or 5-8. So, the Navamsa and the Dasamsa have the same Lagna. But the thing is, this exercise is worth it, because in some cases, maybe you just jump to a gun too quickly. If you jump to a conclusion, all your readings will be based on wrong data. So, you should actually spend some time, convince yourself. Sometimes the thing is, unfortunately, our knowledge is imperfect, so we can't say, well, this must be it, this cannot be it. We only can say, this makes some sense, this makes some sense, this makes a little more sense, but I can't rule this out. Like that, that is how we are, if you see, that is how we are thinking. Unfortunately, that is the level of our knowledge. But still, even with that, we are able to predict, we are able to make some progress. So the thing is, look at different techniques. Now, her point is very good. Look at Narayan Dasha. If you look at D9 Narayan Dasha, Navamsa Narayan Dasha, to rectify the Navamsa Lagna, the Scorpio Dasha gave the result. Right? Scorpio Dasha gave the result. So, this is actually interesting. I don't know if the software is doing the right thing. Yes, it is doing the right thing. Okay. The thing here is the 9th Lord is Saturn and Rahu. You have to see the strength of Saturn and Rahu. Take the stronger in Navamsa, not in Rashi. Take the stronger in Navamsa and start the Navamsa Narayan Dasha from him. And Saturn is stronger than Rahu. Because even though Rahu is with Mercury, he gets only a count of 1. Saturn is with Jupiter, he also gets a count of 1. But if you do all the math, basically you will see that Saturn is stronger. So anyway, so the calculations must be right. So Scorpio Dasha gave the marriage. Does it make sense? Yes. Now we are more confident that Scorpio Lagna in Navamsa is right. Had it been Sagittarius as we surmised earlier, it wouldn't have explained the marriage. Whereas in Scorpio, it is Lagna. The Dasha of the Lagna or Jewel or 7th house, they are certainly capable of giving marriage. Okay, happy. Very happy. So the Antardasha was, we don't have to look at Antardasha, but it is Kepikan. It is Kepikan, but more than the Antardasha, what do we normally do? The 3 parts. The 3 parts do. Scorpio is Ishwadaya. First part is Scorpio itself. The second part will be Lord, because Lord is also in a Ishwadaya Rashi. So basically the Lagna Lord Mars and Ketu, they basically gave the result. Well, that is possible. Especially Lagna Lord Mars, if you take Lagna Lord as Mars, he is not only Lagna Lord, he is also Shukra Lagna Lord. He is Lagna Lord as well as Shukra Lagna Lord. Not only that, he is in the 7th house from somebody important. Who? Not Jewel Lord, but Moon. Instead of just saying Chandra Lagna, you are saying Jewel Lord. Thank God you didn't say from the 7th Lord from JL or from the 12th Lord from A6 or from the 12th Lord from the A6 Lord from the 4th Lord from the UL. Basically as you become more learned, you basically come up with more convoluted logic. Well, actually UL Lord is important, but that's a different issue. So from Chandra Lagna, he is in the 7th house. From Shukra Lagna, he is the Lagna Lord. From Lagna, he is the Lagna Lord. These are the 3 important Lagnas. In all charts, Lagna and Chandra Lagna, they are the 2 important Lagnas. One is intelligence, the other is mind. And Shukra Lagna, for this particular thing, the Karaka Lagna is important. For success in career, for example, Sun, like that. For children, Jupiter, those Lagnas are always important. So from all the 3 Lagnas, Mars has to do with either Lagna or 7th house. So, the last 1/3 giving the result is perfectly logical. So, bottom line is we are happy. Now, let us, while we are in Narayan Dasha, let us look at Narayan Dasha of Dashamsha. How is Narayan Dasha of Dashamsha? Sorry. Let us switch to Dashamsha. Dashamsha. What is the Dasha running right now? Actually, when the career started, what was the Dasha? Scorpio. Scorpio gave the career. Why? 5th house. Simple. Okay, fine. Now, what is the Dasha running right now? Virgo Dasha. Is this a good Dasha or bad Dasha? I mean, just in black and white terms. Good Dasha or bad Dasha? Well, it has UL. It can show some losses or compromises. It has 12th Lord. Again, it can show some losses or compromises. But it has the 3rd Lord in 3rd. It is actually very conducive for doing contract work. It is very conducive for doing a lot of communications, lot of technical writing, etc. Communicating with people. But overall, it's not bad. Benefic in the 3rd, is it good or bad? Mercury is the benefic or malefic here in this Dashamsha? It is a natural benefic. Natural benefic in the 3rd house is good or bad? Not so good. It shows some loss of bravery. Not being so bold, but planet in own house is always good. So it is mixed. It is a mixed sign. Which 1/3 is running right now? The first 1/3 itself, which is the result of the sign itself. So the results of 3rd house, which is a benefic sign here, a benefic sign falling in the 3rd house, the results will be given. So it can show some loss of drive, some disappointment, etc. So actually there is a chance of, unfortunately there is a chance of negative results until 2011 July. Now, and also UL is in the same sign, so that result also will be given. Now, let us not hasten, let us not be hasty. Look at the Chaturthi Samdasha. What Dasha is running? Sun, of course. Has been running for a long time. He is in the 5th house. He is very good. All hunky-dory. But also in A8. Sun is in A8. Sun is in A8 there. Mrityapada. What Antardasha is running is crucial. What is the Antardasha running for the last year or so? Saturn. Is it good or bad? For me? He is the 8th Lord and 7th Lord. He is actually not so good. He is a neutral planet based on Parashara, but he is a Dusthana Lord. He is the 8th Lord. He is the dispositor of Ketu. So Saturn has his problems. And he is in AL. That's the worst thing. Is Saturn in AL good or bad? Saturn in AL is bad. So Saturn, had he been in 12th house from AL or something, it would have been good. But Saturn in AL is actually not so good for status. And the Arudha results are more prominent in the Antardashas. Right? So there is some problem. There is some undesirable results from the point of view of material status and career, etc. But the positive thing is, look at A5 and A9. A5 is the recognition and A9 is the fortune. So suddenly some good recognition is quite possible. Can't be ruled out. Because they are in the 11th from AL. They are in a quadrant from Lagna. Right? So that is also there. So some suffering, some loss of position, but at the same time,
Change of job because of that.
pardon me?
Because he is the 8th Lord.
Yeah. 8th Lord is always, we have seen in many examples. 8th Lord gives 8th Lord or planet having to do with A8 or planet associated with 8th Lord or 8th house, planet in 8th house, they can always give job change. But she already said, there has been a job change in this Antardasha.
The job change is good.
Pardon me? Yeah, job change may or may not be good.
No, I just want to just tell what happened last 2 weeks.
Last 2 weeks, if you want, last 2 weeks, let's not look at Antardasha. Let us go to Tithi Pravesh. 2000. Last 2 weeks, it is close, but let us go with 2008. because it will be before July 15 anyway. Okay, so we are making the 2008 annual chart. We want to guess how are the last 2 weeks. Venus, okay. There is Tapas Yoga in the Dasham. Who is the ruler of the year? Venus. Okay, what Dasha is running? Venus. So the chart started on what day? June 26, and very soon it was Venus Dasha. So in Venus Dasha, the ruler of the year, some results are happening. Are they good or bad? If he is basically, if she is somebody in service, it is bad. If she is somebody in business, it is actually not bad. That is bad, right. Saturn, is he a benefic or malefic for this Lagna, Saturn? Third and fourth lord, not neutral. Fourth is neutral, third is malefic. So overall he is a malefic. So Saturn is a papi. So Venus and Ketu together is not that bad. Lagna lord and seventh lord, the two friends, not that bad. But Saturn is spoiling them. So, and moreover, seventh house is unfortunately not a good house for service. It is actually the marka for service. Basically, taking the sixth house of service as Lagna, Venus is second and seventh lord in the eighth house. He shows marka actually. So this is actually, if the Dashamsa Lagna in this Tithi Pravesh chart is also accurate, this is a bad time for career actually, until September 12.
Does she need to travel?
Actually, her boss gave him a big it happened suddenly.
Suddenly she got so the feedback is she got a notice to leave from her boss suddenly. Okay.
Actually, even in her last job, she had some problem with her boss. Because of that, she left the job.
Okay. In general, she is having some problems with bosses.
So this is happening for the last 1.5 years.
For the last 1.5 years, she has been having problem with bosses, but that can be attributed to the fact that Saturn Antardasha is running in Sandasha, and Saturn is the 8th lord in the 9th house. So it can show some trouble on account of boss, right? So that is one possibility. Pardon me?
Since 2007,
From 2007, Saturn Antardasha has been happening. So particularly for 1 year, for the last 1 year, things are not that good. But then, luckily, it's getting over.
That's why she left the job, and again here also she had the same problem.
Okay. Since 2009 April, from 2007 July till 2009 April is a bad time.
I told her to look for a contract job instead of a permanent job.
That's a better opportunity for this year. Looking at this year's chart, and also looking at the fact that Mercury is so strong and Narayan Dasha is activating Mercury, that's actually a very good advice. If she can get a contract job, that will be better for her during this year. Otherwise, there will be a lot of disappointment. This is a very bad year for service.
The next Dasha will be of March.
Now, in Venus Dasha, is there a chance of finding a new job? In Venus Dasha itself. Well, Venus is in Lagna, but Lagna is having all these negative combinations. So there is some chance. She should try. I won't rule out getting a job before the end of Venus Dasha. There is a pretty decent chance. Only thing is, the Dasha after the Sun.
actually Venus is a source of 8 and
No, but the thing is, 8 is in the 12th house. Pardon me? Yeah. But the thing is, Venus is 8 lord, right? But 8 is in the 12th house from Lagna. That is actually, that shows some loss of career in this year. So this can be a troublesome year for career. And look at Mercury. Mercury is the Karaka for service. Saturn and Mercury. Saturn is in Manakaraka Sthana. How is Mercury? He is the 8th lord in Badhaka Sthana. Anybody having to do with Badhak and 8th house is quite bad. Pardon me? He is in Arul Lagna. 8th lord in Arul Lagna in Badhaka Sthana. Not so good. 8 in 12th house. Not good. So there are some really negative factors here at play. But Moon, Sun and Mars combination is actually quite good. Lagna Lord Mars, 10th Lord Sun, 9th Lord Moon. They are all on the 5th and 11th house axis, giving a Raj Yoga on that axis. Pardon me? Yeah, Trilosana Yoga also. So, Sun, Moon, Mars dashas will be good.
And because of A3 is that contract.
A3, definitely 11th house A3, it's a good idea to go for a contract, a short-term contract that too. Because from September 12 till December 16, 3 months is a very good time, excellent time. But after those 3 months, how is it? Mercury. December 16 to February 10, there is a chance of another shock. I mean, I won't say it will happen, but there is a good chance. You should be prepared. Mercury is not at all good. And how is Saturn? Not good. How is Jupiter? Good. Even though he is in A8, he is the 5th lord in the 10th house. Not bad. So, my feeling is she will get a job relatively easy. But this year seems like a rocky year. It doesn't seem like a smooth year. This year basically pretty much is the remaining part of the Saturn Antardasha. So during this year, it's better to play safe and go for a contract if possible. And even if it's a service, not be too disappointed if a disappointment, if something bad happens within a few months. Is there any remedies she can do?
Why is the boss? She can get along with the boss.
Well, like I said earlier, that must be from the natal chart and that must be from the Antardasha. See, this is not a lifelong thing, this is a current thing. If you look at the Chaturasita Samadasha, yeah, in general also you can say 9th Lord is afflicted by the 8th Lord, Jupiter is with Rahu and Badhaka Lord. 9th Lord is with Badhaka Lord and also with Rahu 8th Lord, both enemies. So not that good, he is with Mandi. 9th house has 8th Lord. So in general, she has some problem getting along with boss, but Saturn and Jupiter will make it more, Saturn and Rahu actually will make it more pronounced. Right now Saturn is running, Saturn Antardasha is running. Right? By the way, in this Dashas, there is no Rahu Dasha. So result of Rahu is also given by Saturn. That is the other factor. Because Rahu is the 8th Lord affecting the 9th Lord Jupiter, is Guru Chandala Yoga. Bosses are basically after her in the Saturn Dasha. Saturn gives Rahu's results here. Rahu's results are given either by his dispositor or Saturn. Dispositor is Sun and Saturn is Saturn. So Sun Dasha Rahu, Saturn Antardasha is running. So Rahu's results will be given very prominently. So that is another reason for this roller coaster ride. So Rahu is the 8th Lord giving Guru Chandala Yoga. So any remedies he can do? Well, based on the Antardasha, right now the problem is for the Rashi phase in the career, the main culprit is Saturn and Rahu. So Saturn and Rahu, these are the main problem planets. So I will suggest combined remedy for Saturn and Rahu, and that would be Venkateshwara. So pray to Venkateshwara. Do some stotra or mantra of Lord Venkateshwara. That will be good for her. Yeah. Well, it can show a lot of things. It can show trouble with father, not having good relation with father is one possibility. But yeah. Well, intelligence, Lagna Lord is in the 12th house with Ketu. Yes, with Ketu. So there is some inherent spirituality. There is some inherent spirituality in the person and inherent humility. That is what Lagna Lord in 12th gives with Ketu. But Lagna has Sun. Sun in Lagna usually makes people very confident and very assertive, like royal. But the Sun is affected by Saturn. So the thing is confused, and there could even be a split personality kind of personality, sometimes very assertive, sometimes unsure and confused, not knowing what to do, very confused. So there may be, I would expect a split personality kind of personality, sometimes very humble, sometimes very. Pardon me? That may or may not be accurate. See. If boss says something, we can't try to see it in the Rashi chart.
I'm thinking because Lagna Lord is with Ketu, which shows a lot of confusion and mistake.
Possible, but then he may be just lying.
In general,
Yeah. Well, Lagna Lord with Ketu doesn't necessarily show somebody who makes a lot of mistakes. It can show somebody with a lot of confusion here, because Lagna has some certain combination, Lagna Lord is with Ketu. But
I just want to know conductance. See, I think she's a little bit confused personality. I want to see
Possible.
whether it is Mercury, Ketu or something.
I think it's both.
It is
Both are bad. Just having sun Saturn combination in Lagna is bad, and having Lagna Lord Mercury with Ketu in the 12th house is bad. But that is good for spirituality. It is a bad thing from the point of view of material things.
Go to D9, she has
Pardon me?
12 from Atmakarka has Ketu.
Okay, that is very good. 12th from Atmakarka has Ketu. Okay, Atmakarka is who? Jupiter. Mr. Jupiter. And the 12th is Ketu Sun. Good. Very good. Excellent. She is basically, that means this and that both confirm that she is a spiritual person. She is quite spiritual.
4 degrees Gemini and Sun is closer to
Yeah, yeah.
Sun character will be more prominent in her.
Right, but Lagna Lord is as important as Lagna. And Lagna Lord is in the 12th house, which is actually Manakarka Sthana for Sun. I mean, it's basically so unlike Sun. The Sun is trying to have some egoistic, affective kind of influence on the personality, and Mercury is trying to have humble, that kind of personality. So she is actually torn between the two personalities. In my view, she is a split personality. She has two different personalities depending on the dashas, gochara, tantra dashas. She will be exhibiting different behavior. Actually, what is the persona she projects in career? What is the image she projects in career? Does she come across as an intelligent person or as a dumb person? Pardon me? Lagna, Aru Lagna is the image that you project. Pisces. So somebody very soft, not very harsh and fighter. Very gentle person. Pisces is gentle. Saturn. That too not a good Saturn. 8th lord Saturn. So, incapable. So, in general, that is the persona she projects. Or if Saturn is made benefic with Venkateshwara's worship, she will come across as a hard worker. So she has to either come across as a hard working person or as an idiot, but not as a really smart, brilliant kind of person. So shooting for that is futile. She should realize her virtue, her weaknesses and strengths, and she should put in more hours, work longer hours, because that will basically make Saturn give that result. And then the other result of Saturn will be, it will lessen. So this is how you do basically. You see, this is either this or this or this is a given. So instead of having this, I will increase this consciously. So she should put in more hours and give the image or impression of somebody working very hard. Okay. Saturn is Amachakarka, yeah. Yeah. So Venkateshwara is definitely a very good thing for her. And in the Navamsha, where is Saturn? The 6th from Saturn is Mars. Mars is the Palana Devata, but then Mars is with Saturn. So that will take care of Palana Devata also. So my suggestion is just pray to Govinda, Venkateshwara. Okay? So good luck to her and keep us posted. It seems like she should easily find a new job, except that it may not last long. Good luck to her. She has an interesting Dashamsha. So with that, we'll end the discussion today, and next class if you have any chart, bring the chart, and we will continue Parashara. Remember that we are in the second half of second house. Om Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. Yavad bhumandale sanatana dharmo vadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.